What if I told you the difference between a life of drifting mediocrity and a life of unstoppable progress comes down to just one single habit, not talent, not luck, not even education, but one decision, one daily choice that determines whether you stay stuck or whether you rise? Here's the truth. Every single person on this planet has the same 24 hours. The billionaire and the broke man, the visionary leader and the one who can't seem to get their life together. The difference is not time. The difference is how they control it. Think about it. Why is it that some people achieve more in a single day than others do in an entire week? Why does one person move forward with clarity, while another is drowning in stress and distractions? It's not because they're smarter. It's not because they're lucky. It's because of this one habit, a habit so powerful that if you commit to it today, you'll feel a shift overnight. But here's the problem. Most people will never do it. They'll keep drifting. They'll keep reacting. They'll let distractions steal their energy, their focus, their future. And that's why they stay stuck. But you're here because you're different. You're here because you know deep down there's more inside of you. And you're ready to hear the truth that 99% of the world ignores. So, let me ask you, are you ready to discover the one habit that will change your life forever? Because once you do, you will never look at a single day the same way again. Success has never been a mystery. It's not a secret reserved for the few. It's not hidden in some ancient book, nor locked away in the minds of geniuses. Success is written in plain sight, in the simple, ordinary details of your daily life. The question is not whether you have access to it. The question is whether you have the discipline to live it. And that's where one habit separates the winners from the masses. Listen carefully, because this one habit is so deceptively simple that most people overlook it. They're waiting for a breakthrough, for a lightning bolt moment, for some magical event to transform their lives. But transformation doesn't come from one lucky break. It comes from one consistent choice, the choice to take full control of your time and energy. That's it. The habit is ownership complete and deliberate control over how you spend your minutes, your hours, your days. It is refusing to drift. It is rejecting the autopilot life. It is saying to yourself, from this moment forward, I will decide what my time is worth. I will decide what deserves my energy. Nothing and no one else will make that choice for me. You see, most people live like passengers. They wake up and immediately hand over control of their day to the outside world. They check their phones, and now their mood is dictated by notifications. They scroll through other people's lives, and now their focus is hijacked. They react to problems, interruptions, and emotions as if they are powerless. By the time they realize it, half their day has vanished, stolen not by someone else, but by their lack of discipline. Winners live differently. Winners wake up with a plan. They know exactly what matters and exactly what does not. They guard their time the way a warrior guards his fortress. And because of that, they advance while everyone else remains stuck. Now, here's the truth, that most will not accept time is not your problem. Focus is. Think about how often you've said, I don't have enough time. You've got dreams, goals, projects you want to finish. You've got books you want to read, skills you want to learn, a business you want to build. But you tell yourself, I just don't have the hours. That's a lie. You have the hours. We all do. The problem isn't time. The problem is the leaks, the endless distractions, the wasted moments, the unimportant tasks that consume your energy without moving you an inch closer to your goals. And here's the dangerous part. It feels normal. It feels natural to drift through your day. You convince yourself that being busy is the same as being productive. You convince yourself that because you're tired, you must have worked hard. But deep down, you know the truth. You've been moving, but not moving forward. This is why the habit of control matters. It forces you to confront reality. When you take ownership of your time and energy, you no longer confuse motion with progress. You no longer mistake distraction for relaxation. You stop lying to yourself about why you're not moving forward. The second you commit to control, life begins to change almost overnight. Why? Because now you're not waiting for motivation to strike. You understand the deeper principle action creates motivation, not the other way around. Motivation is fickle, fragile, temporary. Some days you'll feel inspired. Most days you won't. But winners don't depend on feelings. They depend on habits. And when the habit is execution, doing the work, no matter how you feel, you build momentum so powerful it cannot be stopped. Let me make this practical. Imagine it two people. The first wakes up and drifts. They reach for their phone and scroll. Lose 30 minutes. They get out of bed late, already behind schedule. They check emails, react to everyone else's priorities. Their morning is gone before it starts. By noon, they're frustrated, stressed, and overwhelmed, and yet they wonder, why am I stuck? Why can't I make progress? Now imagine the second person. They wake up with a plan. They've decided the night before what their top priorities are. They don't check their phone until they've finished their most important task. They start the day with focus, clarity, and intention. They've already won the first few hours while the rest of the world is still distracted. By noon, they've advanced further than most people will in a week. Two people, same 24 hours. Completely different results. The difference is not luck. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is one habit control. And here's the beauty, you can start right now. You don't need to be wealthy to guard your time. You don't need to be famous to choose your focus. You don't need to be talented to cut out distractions. You just need to make a decision. Understand this, control is not about working harder, it's about working smarter, with deliberate intention. It's about refusing to give your energy away to meaningless things. It's about protecting your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Your time is life itself. Every wasted hour is not just lost productivity, it's a piece of your life you'll never get back. And yet, most people spend it like it's infinite. They waste days, months, years waiting for change, while their future slips through their fingers. But when you adopt this habit, when you take full ownership, you separate yourself from 99% of the world. While they drift, you decide. While they react, you create. While they wait for motivation, you act, and that difference compounds. One day of control becomes 1 week. 1 week becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes a year. And before long, you've built a life that looks unrecognizable from the one you used to live. That is the power of a single habit. So let me ask you, who is in control of your time right now, you or your distractions? Who decides how you spend your hours, your purpose, or your emotions? Because if you're not in control, then you're not living, you're drifting. And drifting is the silent killer of dreams. The moment you take back control of your mornings, your focus, your schedule, you begin to experience something few people ever will, real momentum. And once you have momentum, success is no longer a question of if, it becomes a question of when. That's why winners protect their time with obsession. They don't negotiate with distractions. They don't justify wasted hours. They don't let small things pull them off course. because they understand time is the only currency you can never earn back. And so I challenge you right here, right now, make the decision. Stop drifting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop letting your emotions dictate your actions. From this moment forward, guard your time like your future depends on it, because it does. When you make that choice, when you adopt this habit, you'll begin to see results faster than you ever imagined. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And that shift, that single powerful shift, is the habit that shapes everything. Look around you. Everywhere you go, you'll see the same pattern repeated in millions of lives. People wake up each morning, but they don't really wake up. Their eyes open, but their mind is still asleep. They grab their phones before they even take their first breath of gratitude. Within seconds, they've surrendered their focus to a flood of messages, notifications, and distractions. They've already lost the battle before the day has begun. This is the trap of the masses. Most people believe they are in control of their lives, but the truth is, they are simply reacting. They don't set the direction, they drift wherever the current of the day takes them. They let outside forces dictate their mood, their focus, and their results. And the tragedy is that they mistake this cycle for living. Here's how it looks. They wake up late because they stayed up scrolling through meaningless noise the night before. They rush through their morning with no plan, no purpose, no intention. They head into their day already behind schedule. They react to every interruption, every problem, every negative emotion that shows up. And at the end of the day, they wonder why they feel stuck, why nothing seems to change, why their dreams always feel out of reach. It's not because they lack talent. It's not because they're unlucky. It's because they are caught in a loop of distraction, procrastination, and emotional reaction. And here's the hardest truth, they don't even realize it. Most people are blind to the trap. They think their struggles are unique, when in reality, they are living out the same story. Billions of others are living. They've given up their power without even knowing it. They've become slaves to habits they didn't consciously choose. Let me ask you something. How often have you promised yourself, tomorrow I'll start fresh. Tomorrow I'll wake up early. Tomorrow I'll go to the gym. Tomorrow I'll focus on my goals. But when tomorrow comes, the same cycle repeats. That's not laziness. It's a trap. It's the autopilot life pulling you back into mediocrity. The masses live on autopilot. They let feelings dictate their decisions. If they're tired, they skip their priorities. If they're stressed, they look for distraction. If they're unmotivated, they do nothing. And because of this, their life never changes. Contrast this with the winners. Winners understand that feelings are temporary, but decisions are permanent. Winners do not drift. They don't hand over their time and energy to whatever comes along. They live deliberately. They act with intention, and that is why their results are different. But the masses, they are trapped. They are trapped by the illusion of busyness. They spend hours working, but at the end of the day, they have nothing meaningful to show for it. They confuse motion with progress. They check emails or reply to messages, attend pointless meetings, scroll through social media. All of it feels like activity, but none of it moves them forward. They are trapped by the endless chase for comfort. Instead of embracing discomfort, which is the price of growth, they seek the path of least resistance. They choose what feels good in the moment, not what builds a future. They eat what's convenient instead of what's healthy. They binge watch instead of building skills. They complain instead of creating solutions. And they are trapped by their emotions: anger, fear, doubt. Like worry, these emotions run their lives. They make decisions based not on logic or purpose, but on how they feel in the moment. And feelings left unchecked will rob you of everything you could become. This is why so many people stay stuck year after year. They don't even realize they are not steering the ship. They think life is just happening to them, when in reality, they are giving away control every single day. But here's the dangerous part of the trap. It feels safe. It feels normal. It feels like everyone else is doing the same thing, and they are. And so people convince themselves, this is just life. This is how it is. That's the lie. Life is not meant to be drifted through. Life is meant to be directed, created, built with purpose. And the moment you wake up to that truth, you separate yourself from the masses. Ask yourself, are you living with intention, or are you reacting? Are you making deliberate choices, or are you letting the world decide for you? Are you shaping your day, or is your day shaping you? Because here's the reality. If you do not control your time, someone else will. If you do not set your focus, distractions will. If you do not master your emotions will master you. And here's what happens when you remain trapped. You waste years chasing the wrong things. You confuse busyness with achievement. You live in cycles of starting and quitting, hoping for change, but never building it. You wake up one day realizing you've drifted far from the life you wanted, with no idea how to get back. But there is a way out. The way out begins with awareness. The moment you see the trap for what it is, you can no longer deny it. You recognize the patterns, the wasted mornings, the emotional decisions, the endless distractions. And once you see it, you can no longer pretend it's normal. That awareness is the first step toward breaking free. The second step is responsibility. You must own the fact that no one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to hand you the life you want. Success will not be delivered, it must be built. And it starts the day you say, enough. I will no longer drift. I will no longer react. I will no longer waste my time and energy on things that do not matter. From this moment forward, I take control. That declaration separates you from the masses. It is the dividing line between the 99% who drift and the 1% who direct. But here's the warning. The trap will not let you go easily. Distractions will fight for your attention. Old habits will whisper, just relax. You can start tomorrow. Your emotions will test you. But this is where you must be ruthless. This is where you must decide that your purpose is stronger than your feelings. Because once you do, once you make that shift, the trap loses its power. Imagine living a day where nothing pulls you off course, where you move with clarity, not confusion, where your emotions no longer dictate your choices, where distractions bounce off you like arrows against armor. That is what life feels like when you've escaped the trap. And here's the truth. The masses will keep living the way they always have. They will keep drifting, reacting, wasting, hoping. But you don't have to. You can step out of the trap. You can choose a different path, the path of control, the path of discipline, the path of winners. And it begins with one decision: no more drifting. No more wasted mornings. No more surrendering to distractions and emotions. From now on, you take the wheel. You decide the direction. You become the master of your time and energy. That decision, that single act of courage, will transform your life. It will separate you from the masses forever. When you take full control of your time and energy, something almost magical happens. It's as if the fog that has surrounded your life suddenly clears. You begin to see everything differently. Your priorities, your habits, even yourself. And this shift is so powerful that it feels like your entire life has changed overnight. Why? Because control creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. And confidence creates momentum. Think about this for a moment. How many days have you gone through life feeling scattered, pulled in 100 different directions, never fully focused on the things that matter? At the end of the day, you're exhausted, but deep down, you know you didn't really make progress. That is the cost of living without control. But the second you decide that your time belongs to you, that your energy is sacred, everything changes. You no longer wander aimlessly through your day. You no longer wake up wondering what to do next. You know, you've already decided, and that single shift transforms ordinary days into extraordinary ones. Control creates direction. Imagine you're a ship out at sea, without a captain steering. The waves push you wherever they want. You drift, you waste time, fuel, and energy. You may move, but you're not moving toward your destination. Now picture the same ship with a captain at the wheel, compass in hand, course locked in. The waves still crash, the storms still come, but the ship moves forward, steadily, deliberately, toward its destination. That's the difference control makes. Without it, you're tossed around by emotions, distractions, and outside influences. With it, you're unstoppable. You move forward no matter what. A real-world example. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. Two young professionals graduate from the same college. Both have similar talents, similar opportunities, and similar goals, but within 10 years, their lives look completely different. Why one of them drifts? He wakes up each day without a plan. He reacts to emails, attends meetings, scrolls through social media when he feels stressed, and tells himself he's too busy to work on his bigger goals. His days are filled with motion, but not progress. The other decides early on to live with control. He starts each morning by writing down his top 3 priorities. He schedules his time, guards his focus, and refuses to give energy to distractions. Even when he doesn't feel motivated, he takes action anyway. 10 years later, one is still complaining about not having enough time, while the other has built a career, a business, and a life of purpose. The difference, not luck, not talent, control. Control multiplies energy. Here's the paradox. Most people never understand when you try to control everything outside of yourself. You end up drained. But when you control yourself, your time, your focus, your energy, you actually create more power. Why? Because wasted time leaks energy. Distraction drains your spirit. Every time you let something unimportant steal your attention, you lose momentum. But when you focus only on what matters, when you eliminate the noise, you feel stronger, sharper, more alive. Winners know this. That's why they protect their mornings like treasure. They understand that how you start the day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you begin in control, you carry that momentum forward. If you begin in chaos, you spend the rest of the day trying to recover. So ask yourself, how are you starting your days? Are you giving away your focus in the first hour? Or are you seizing control from the start? Action creates motivation. Most people believe they need motivation before they act. They sit around waiting for inspiration, hoping they'll suddenly feel like doing the work. But winners understand the deeper truth. Action creates motivation. The moment you take control and act, even in the smallest way, your energy shifts. You feel momentum. You feel progress. And that fuels you to keep going. It's like pushing a heavy flywheel. At first, it feels impossible. The resistance is strong. But once you get it moving, each push gets easier. And before long, it spins with unstoppable force. Control works the same way. The first few days feel challenging. You're breaking old habits. You're fighting distractions. But once you've built momentum, control becomes natural. It becomes who you are. Control builds identity. Here's the secret. The habit of control doesn't just change your schedule. It changes your identity. When you decide to live in control, you begin to see yourself differently. You're no longer someone who drifts. You're no longer someone who wastes time. You're no longer at the mercy of feelings or distractions. You are disciplined. You are deliberate. You are powerful. And that identity shift is where real transformation happens. Because once you believe you are a person of discipline and focus, you act accordingly. Your standards rise. Your decisions sharpen. Your results multiply. That's why the power of control is so life-changing. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. The ripple effect. When you control your time and energy, the benefits ripple into every area of your life. In your work, you become more effective. You get more done in less time. You advance faster than your peers. In your health, you build consistency. You stop skipping workouts. You stop eating out of emotion. You act with purpose. In your relationships, you're more present. You're not distracted by endless noise. You're fully engaged with the people who matter. In your mindset, you feel stronger. Anxiety decreases. Clarity increases. Confidence grows. This is why winners protect their focus, like their life depends on it, because it does. The choice is yours. Now here's the ultimate question: who controls your day? If you don't decide, life will decide for you. The world is full of distractions designed to steal your time. Endless notifications, endless entertainment, endless opinions. If you're not careful, you'll spend your life consumed by things that don't matter, wondering why you never reached your potential. But the moment you choose control, the moment you decide, this is my time, this is my energy, this is my life, you unlock a level of focus and discipline most people will never experience. That's the power of taking control. It is the foundation of every success story. It is the dividing line between drifting and winning. And it begins the moment you stop reacting and start creating. So, are you ready to make that shift? Are you ready to step out of the fog? To stop wasting your most valuable resource and to take command of your life? Because once you do, once you choose control over drift, discipline over distraction, a purpose over procrastination, your life will never be the same. And that is the true power of taking control. Life is always teaching you by example. If you look closely, you'll see two types of people moving through this world. They live side by side, but their results couldn't be more different. One group is drifting, the other is winning. And the contrast is so sharp that once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The drifters. Let's start with the drifters. They wake up every day, but they never really wake up. Their mornings begin in chaos. They grab their phones before they grab their purpose. Within minutes, their focus belongs to someone else's agenda, a text, a headline, a notification. They move through their day like passengers in a car. They don't even realize they're not driving. They let the noise of the world set their priorities. They chase distractions and complain about circumstances and justify their lack of progress with excuses that sound convincing but mean nothing. A drifter's language is filled with phrases like, "I didn't have time," "I'll start tomorrow," "I just don't feel motivated." They mistake busyness for progress. They attend meetings, answer messages, shuffle papers, scroll endlessly. At the end of the day, they're drained, yet they can't point to a single meaningful step forward. And here's the tragedy. Drifters don't even realize they are drifting. They believe life is just happening to them. They believe the story that circumstances, luck, or other people are holding them back. They never stop to realize that the real enemy is their own lack of control. The winners. Now let's look at the winners. Winners live with intention. They wake up with clarity. Before the world has a chance to steal their attention, they've already claimed it. Their mornings are deliberate, structured, not by chance, but by choice. They know their priorities before the day begins. They focus on the few things that matter most, not the dozens of things that don't. They say no to distractions because they understand that every yes to something unimportant is a no to their future. A winner's language is different. I will make time. I start now. Action creates motivation. Winners don't wait until they feel like it. They act, and by acting, they create the feeling. They are not driven by emotion. They are driven by purpose. And that's why, while others drift for years, winners can accomplish in months what seems impossible to the masses. A tale of two lives. Picture this. Two men live in the same city. They're the same age, with similar backgrounds. Both dream of building something great. Both want success. Both have 24 hours in their day. The first is a drifter. He wakes up late, checks his phone, and lets his mood be hijacked by news and gossip. He reacts to every interruption. He tells himself he's too tired to work on his goals after his job. He promises he'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. Years pass, and his life looks exactly the same, stagnant, full of excuses, full of regret. The second is a winner. He wakes up early, not by accident, but by design. He spends his first hour sharpening his focus, reviewing his goals. Setting his intention, he tackles his most important task before the world even wakes. He doesn't wait for motivation. He creates it by acting. And because of that, his progress compounds. A year later, his life looks completely different. 5 years later, he is unrecognizable compared to the man he once was. Two men, same hours, different choices. Différentes destinées. Why? The difference. The difference between winners and drifters is not intelligence. It's not opportunity. It's not talent. The difference is control. Drifters surrender control. They let emotions, distractions, and circumstances rule them. Winners sights a control. They rule themselves, and in doing so, they rule their results. That's it. That's the dividing line. And it's not some mystical secret. It's a daily habit, a choice repeated over and over again until it becomes identity, the ripple effect. Here's what happens. The drifter, because he reacts all day, ends his nights drained. His body feels heavy. His mind is cluttered, and his spirit is restless. He wonders why he can't sleep peacefully, why he feels behind, why he's always anxious. The winner, because he lives with control, ends his nights fulfilled. He knows he used his hours wisely. His mind is clear. His body is energized, and his spirit is at peace. He goes to bed proud, and he wakes up ready. Day after day, these small differences stack up One life drifts downward, the other life rises upward, and over time, the gap becomes enormous. Which are you? This is the question you cannot escape. Are you a winner or are you a drifter? Be honest with yourself. Look at your mornings. Look at your decisions. Look at how you spend your time. Are you living with intention or are you reacting? Are you creating your life or are you letting life happen to you? The answer is written in your habits. The answer is revealed in how you use the one resource you can never get back: time. And here's the hard truth. Most people are drifters. They don't mean to be. They don't want to be. But without the habit of control, drifting is the default. If you're not deliberate, you drift. If you're not intentional, you waste. If you're not in control, you're out of control. And the good news. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay a drifter. The line between winners and drifters is drawn fresh every single day. It's drawn the moment you wake up and decide who you're going to be. Will you drift or will you win? The choice is always yours. And the second you choose control, the second you act with purpose, so you step out of the masses and into the ranks of the few, the winners, and once you've tasted that life, once you've felt the clarity, momentum, and power that comes from living with control, you will never go back. That is the example. That is the contrast, and that is the invitation. Choose wisely. Knowing the truth is not enough. Millions of people know what they should do, but only a few ever do it. The difference between drifters and winners is not knowledge, it's application. And if you want this one habit to transform your life, you must apply it daily, deliberately, and without excuse. So let's get practical. Let's talk about how to take full control of your time and energy. Starting today. Step 1, win the first hour. Your morning is the foundation of your entire day. If you start in chaos, you'll spend the day in chaos. But if you start in control, you'll carry that momentum forward into everything else. Here's the rule. Own the first hour, and you own the day. That means no phone, no scrolling, no reacting. The moment you open your eyes, instead, use that hour to set your direction. Read, reflect, write your goals, or review your priorities. Move your body, feed your mind, strengthen your spirit. Even 15 minutes of intentional action will shift your entire mindset. That small act of control sends a powerful signal. I am in charge of my life. Winners know this. That's why they guard their mornings like treasure. Because how you begin is how you finish. Step the 2nd of December, eyed your priorities before the world decides for you. Here's a truth most people never face if you don't set your priorities. Someone else will. Your boss, your family, the news, for your inbox. They'll happily fill your day with tasks that keep you busy, but never fulfilled. That's why you must decide ahead of time what matters most. Each night before bed, write down your top 3 priorities for the next day. Not 10, not 20, just 3. These are the things that, if completed, will move you forward. Everything else is secondary. When you wake up, you already know where your energy goes. You're not guessing, you're not drifting, you're executing. Step 3, say no. Without apology, control is not just about what you do, it's about what you refuse to do. Most people stay stuck not because they're doing the wrong thing, but because they're doing too many things. They say yes to every request, every distraction, every opportunity that comes along. And in doing so, they scatter their energy until nothing gets done. Here's the truth. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to your future. Winners understand this. They are ruthless with their time. They decline meetings that don't matter. They ignore notifications that don't serve them. They protect their focus with boundaries, and they do it unapologetically. If it doesn't move you closer to your vision, it doesn't deserve your attention. Period. Step 4, act before you feel like it. This is where most people fail. They wait until they feel motivated before taking action. But motivation is unreliable. Some days you'll have it. Most days you won't. Winners don't wait for feelings. They act first. They understand that action creates motivation, not the other way around. So the rule is simple. Do it anyway. Don't negotiate with yourself. Don't wait until you're ready. Don't give your emotions the power to decide. Move, act, execute. And as you do, you'll notice the shift. The energy comes after the action. The momentum comes after the start. This is how you build consistency, and consistency is how you win. Step 5, eliminate distractions ruthlessly. The modern world is designed to steal your focus. Endless entertainment, endless opinions, endless noise. If you let it, the world will consume every ounce of your attention and leave you with nothing. That's why you must eliminate distractions ruthlessly. Turn off notifications. Block out focus time on your calendar. Create an environment where focus is easier than distraction. Ask yourself constantly, is this moving me forward? If the answer is no, cut it out. Protect your time as if your future depends on it, because it does. Step 6, review and reset. Daily control is not a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment every night. I ask yourself, did I live with control today? Did I guard my time and energy, or did I give it away? If you drifted, don't punish yourself. Just notice it and reset tomorrow. Awareness is power. The more you reflect, the more deliberate you become. This is how you transform control from a choice into a habit, and from a habit into an identity. What this looks like in real life picture. A young woman building her dream business. She works a demanding job during the day, but every morning before the world wakes, she spends one focused hour on her business. She doesn't wait for motivation. She doesn't let distractions steal her time. She acts with discipline. 6 months later, while her peers complain about not having enough time, she's built a thriving side business. A year later, she's free from her job, all because she applied one simple habit control. Now picture a man who wants to improve his health. Instead of waiting until he feels ready to work out, he commits to 30 minutes every morning. No excuses. He guards that time. Even when tired, even when busy, within months, his energy, confidence, and health transform. Same principle, same habit, different results. The power of alignment. Here's the deeper truth when you take control. You align your actions with your vision. Every decision becomes intentional. Every moment has meaning. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, and you start investing everything into the things that do. That alignment creates power. That power creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. This is why results come so quickly once you adopt this habit. You're no longer scattering your energy. You're directing it like a laser, and a focused laser cuts through steel. The non-negotiable rule. So here is the non-negotiable rule from this day forward. You act with intention. You own your mornings. You set your priorities. You say no to distractions. You act regardless of feelings. You review and reset daily. Do this consistently, and your life will transform faster than you ever thought possible. Final word for this chapter. The masses will keep drifting. They'll keep waiting for motivation, wasting time on distractions, and telling themselves they'll start tomorrow. But you are different. You are ready to take control. And once you do, once you apply this habit in your daily life, you'll unlock a level of focus, discipline, and success that most people will never experience. The choice is simple: drift or direct, react or create, waste or win. Apply the habit and watch your life change starting today. Control is never just about one day. It's never just about one decision. Control is about momentum, the unstoppable force that begins the moment you take ownership of your time and energy. And once that momentum is set in motion, it creates a domino effect that touches every area of your life. The first domino picture, a long line of dominoes stretching as far as you can see. The first one is small, barely noticeable, but when it falls, it knocks over the next, and then the next, and with each step, the impact grows larger. By the end of the line, the force is massive, so powerful it can topple obstacles you never thought possible. That first domino is control. When you decide, today I will take charge of my time, today I will guard my focus, today I will act with intention, you set the first domino in motion. It may feel small at first. Maybe it's waking up without your phone. Maybe it's saying no to one distraction. Maybe it's completing one meaningful task before noon. But don't underestimate the power of that small act, because the first domino always looks small until you see what it unleashes. Control leads to clarity. The first effect of control is clarity. When you stop reacting and start directing, the fog begins to lift. Suddenly, you can see what actually matters. You can separate the essential from the noise. You know what deserves your energy and what doesn't. That clarity is life-changing. Most people wander through life confused, overwhelmed, and uncertain, but clarity cuts through the confusion. It sharpens your focus. And with sharp focus, you start making progress faster than you ever thought possible. Clarity leads to confidence. Once you have clarity, you gain confidence. Think about how it feels to end your day knowing you actually moved forward. Not just busy, but productive. Not just active, but effective. That sense of progress builds belief. You start trusting yourself again. You start realizing, I can do this. I am capable. I am in control. Confidence is not built by wishing. It's built by evidence, and every day you live in control. You give yourself evidence that you are powerful, disciplined, and focused. That confidence compounds. Confidence leads to discipline. With confidence comes discipline. Why? Because once you see results, you want more. You realize that the small sacrifices are worth it. You see the payoff of saying no to distractions. You feel the strength that comes from following through. Discipline stops being a burden and starts being a way of life. It becomes part of your identity. And once discipline is who you are, you no longer have to force it, you simply live it. Discipline leads to momentum, and here's where the domino effect accelerates. Discipline creates momentum. Momentum is the hidden engine of all success. It's the reason some people seem unstoppable. Once they get moving, they can't be stopped, because progress fuels progress. Each action makes the next one easier. Each victory builds the next. Momentum is why winners accomplish in months what others can't do in years. It's not that they're smarter, It's that they've mastered the habit of stacking wins day after day until success is inevitable. Momentum leads to transformation. Finally, momentum leads to transformation. What begins as one small decision to control your time and energy becomes a total shift in identity, lifestyle, and results. You look back weeks later and realize you're thinking differently. Months later, you're acting differently. Years later, your entire life is different. And it all started with the first domino, a story of dominoes. Consider this story. A young man decides he's tired of drifting. He makes one small choice to wake up 1 hour earlier each day. That's all, just 1 hour. That extra hour he uses to read, reflect, and work on his goals. Within weeks, he feels clearer. Within months, his confidence grows because he's proving to himself that he can follow through. That confidence turns into discipline. He stops wasting time at night. He eats better. He trains his body. His discipline builds momentum. He gets promoted at work. He starts a side project. He feels unstoppable. A year later, his life is unrecognizable. And it all began with one domino, an hour of control each morning. Why the domino effect works. Here's the science behind it. Human beings thrive on compounding small actions. Repeated over time, don't just add up, they multiply. One disciplined morning doesn't just give you a good day. It trains your brain to expect clarity. One act of saying no doesn't just save you an hour. It strengthens your identity as someone who protects their time. Each domino makes the next one easier, and the chain grows stronger. That's why winners never underestimate small acts of control. They know that the little things become the big things. They know that momentum is worth more than motivation. And they know that the fastest way to change your life overnight is to start the chain reaction today, your dominoes. So, what are your dominoes? Is it waking up 1 hour earlier? Is it writing down your top 3 priorities each night? Is it turning off notifications during your focus time? Is it saying no to one meaningless meeting or distraction? Choose one. Just one. Don't overwhelm yourself with 10. Start with the first domino, because once that falls, the rest will follow. The warning now. Let me be clear, just as dominoes can fall forward, they can fall backward too. Drift has its own domino effect. Skip one morning of focus, and it becomes easier to skip the next. Give in to one distraction, and suddenly distractions multiply. Neglect one act of discipline, and soon chaos returns. That's why you must guard the first domino with everything you have. Because whichever domino you push, control or drift, determines the chain reaction of your life, the choice. So the question is simple. Which domino will you push today? Will you let the old habits of distraction, procrastination, and emotional reaction knock you down? Or will you choose the first domino of control and set in motion a chain reaction that transforms your future? Remember, the gap between winners and drifters isn't talent, it isn't luck, it's momentum. Winners push the right dominoes, drifters don't, and once momentum is on your side, nothing can stop you. That is the domino effect of control. One habit, one decision, one domino, and from that single choice, an entire life is built. Most people fail not because they don't want success, but because they build their lives on a fragile foundation, motivation. Motivation feels good. It's exciting. It gives you energy, but it is unstable. Some days you wake up inspired. Other days you don't. Some days you're fired up. Other days you're drained. And if your life depends on motivation, your results will always be inconsistent. That's why most people start strong but never finish. They get motivated on the 1st of January and quit by February. They get inspired after a video, a book, and a seminar. But when the emotion fades, so does their action. Winners understand something. Deeper success does not come from motivation. Success comes from identity. Why motivation fails? Let's be honest. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when I feel ready. I'll do it when I feel motivated. And how many times did that moment never come? That's because waiting for motivation is like waiting for the weather to be perfect before leaving your house. You'll be waiting forever. Motivation is not designed to be permanent. It comes and goes like the wind. If your actions are tied to your emotions, you'll never be consistent. And without consistency, you'll never build momentum. The shift from feelings to identity. Here's the shift. Winners don't act based on how they feel. They act based on who they are. Read that again. They act based on identity, not emotion. When you see yourself as a disciplined person, you act with discipline, whether you feel like it or not. When you identify as someone who values focus, you protect your time, even on the days you're tired. When you declare, I am the kind of person who executes no matter what, your actions align with that truth. Motivation says, I feel like working, so I will. Identity says, I am a worker, so I will, whether I feel like it or not. That's the difference. And that difference changes everything. Identity is built through action now. You may wonder, how do I shift my identity? How do I become that person? The answer is simple: through repeated action. Every time you choose control over drift, you cast a vote for your new identity. Every time you follow through on your plan, even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the belief that you are disciplined, focused, unstoppable. Identity is not built overnight, it is built daily. But here's the good news. You don't need years to start. You just need one choice, one act of alignment, one decision to act according to the person you want to be, not the feelings you have in the moment. Do that once, and you feel stronger. Do it twice, and you feel unstoppable. Do it consistently, and it becomes who you are. Example, the athlete. Think about an athlete. Do you believe they wake up motivated every single day? Of course not. They have days when they're tired, sore, distracted. But do they skip training just because they don't feel like it? No. Because their identity is clear, I am an athlete, and athletes train. That's what they do. Identity drives action, not feelings. If you want to win in life, you must adopt the same mindset. You must decide who you are and then act in alignment with that truth, regardless of how you feel. Example, the builder. Consider a builder constructing a house. If he only worked on sunny days, the house would never be finished. But because his identity is, I am a builder, he shows up in the rain, in the wind, in the cold, day by day. Brick by brick, he builds. And one day, there it stands, a finished home. Your life is the same. If you only work on your dreams when it's convenient, they'll never be built. But if your identity is, I am a builder of my future, then nothing stops you. You lay brick after brick until one day you look up and see the life you created. How to shift to identity. So how do you make the leap from motivation to identity? Here are 3 steps. 1, decide who you want to be. Write it down. Say it out loud. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am in control of my time and energy. Don't wait until you feel it. Declare it now. 2, Prove it with action. Each time you follow through, you reinforce your identity. Don't underestimate small wins. Waking up when you said you would. Completing one task. Saying no to one distraction. These are votes for the person you want to become. 3. Repeat until automatic over time. Repetition rewires your brain. What was once hard becomes natural. What was once forced becomes automatic. And at that point, you don't just try to be disciplined, you are disciplined. The freedom of identity. Here's the paradox: living by motivation feels free, but it enslaves you to your emotions. Living by identity feels restrictive at first, but it sets you free. Why? Because when you live by identity, you no longer debate with yourself. You no longer waste energy negotiating with your feelings. The decision is already made. A runner doesn't ask, do I feel like running today? They run, because that's who they are. A leader doesn't ask, do I feel like showing up today? They lead, because that's who they are. A winner doesn't ask, do I feel motivated? They execute, because that's who they are. That is true freedom, the freedom to act regardless of circumstance, the compounding effect. Once your identity shifts, the domino effect accelerates. Each act of alignment strengthens your confidence. Each confident step reinforces your discipline. Each disciplined day builds unstoppable momentum. Suddenly, what felt impossible becomes automatic. What once required motivation now requires nothing but habit. You've transformed not just your results, but yourself. And that is the highest level of success. Not doing more, but becoming more, the challenge. So here's your challenge. Stop asking, how do I stay motivated? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because once you answer that question, once you define your identity and live in alignment with it, your actions will follow naturally. Motivation may get you started, but identity keeps you going. Motivation fades, but identity lasts. Motivation inspires you for a moment, but identity shapes you for a lifetime. Final word for this chapter. The masses will keep chasing motivation. Like children chasing fireworks, brief flashes of light that vanish as quickly as they appear. But winners build identity. They don't wait for the spark. They become the fire. And when you make that shift, when you stop relying on how you feel and start living by who you are, you become unstoppable. From motivation to identity, that is the path of the winner. That is the habit that changes everything. Discipline is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, or what you've been through, discipline levels, the playing field. It's the force that turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers, and when it becomes unshakable, it makes you unstoppable. Why discipline matters more than anything. Motivation may get you excited, but discipline gets you results. Talent may give you an advantage, but discipline sustains it. Even intelligence, without discipline, will fall to waste. Every empire has been built not on bursts of inspiration, but on consistent, deliberate action. Every success story, every champion, every visionary you admire had one thing in common. They acted with discipline, especially when they didn't feel like it. Because discipline is stronger than feelings, feelings fluctuate. Discipline remains what unshakable discipline looks like. Unshakable discipline means you no longer negotiate with yourself. You don't bargain with excuses. You don't delay because you're tired, distracted, or uninspired. When your alarm rings, you rise not because you felt like it, but because that's what disciplined people do. When it's time to execute, you execute not because you're motivated, but because that's who you are. When life throws setbacks, You adapt and move forward, not because it's easy, but because your standard demands it. Discipline removes the debate. It arouses hesitation. The decision is made long before the moment arrives. The power of standards. At the heart of discipline is your standard, the line you refuse to drop below. Most people's standards are negotiable. They'll say, I'll work out unless I'm tired. Or, I'll focus unless I'm stressed. Their standards shift with their feelings. That's why their results shift too. But winners operate differently. They set a standard and refuse to compromise. They declare, I train no matter what. I focus no matter what. I protect my time no matter what. That standard, lived daily, become discipline. And that discipline becomes unshakable. Example, the runner picture. A runner training for a marathon. The alarm goes off at 5 a.m. It's raining outside. It's cold. His body begs for more sleep. A drifter would say, not today. I'll run tomorrow. But the disciplined runner doesn't hesitate. He laces up his shoes and steps out the door. Why? Because his identity is clear. He is a runner, and runners run rain or shine. That is unshakable discipline. The ability to act regardless of conditions, the power to keep moving when everything inside you screams to stop. Discipline beats emotion. Your emotions are like waves high one moment, crashing the next. If you build your life on emotions, you'll always be tossed around. But discipline is the anchor. It holds you steady no matter how rough the storm gets. When fear rises, discipline pushes you forward. When doubt whispers, discipline silences it with action. When fatigue sets in, discipline carries you another step. Emotions are unreliable. Discipline is absolute. How to build unshakable discipline. So how do you develop this kind of strength? It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen daily through consistent choices. 1, start small. Prove big. Don't wait for giant challenges to test you. Prove discipline in the small things, getting up when the alarm rings, finishing what you start, keeping promises to yourself. Small wins build the muscle of discipline. 2, remove negotiation. Decide ahead of time. Winners don't wait until the moment to choose. They've already chosen. The alarm rings. The decision is made. The opportunity comes. The choice is clear. 3, embrace discomfort. Growth never feels good at first. But the disciplined embrace discomfort because they know it's the price of progress. Instead of avoiding it, they seek it because they understand if it challenges you, it changes you. 4, create rituals. Discipline thrives on routine. Set up rituals that make success, automatic morning practices, evening reflections, daily planning. The more automatic your habits, the less you rely on willpower. 5, protect your environment. Discipline is harder when your environment is full of temptation. Remove distractions. Build systems that support your focus. Surround yourself with people who raise your standards instead of lowering them. The compounding power of discipline. The beauty of discipline is that it multiplies over time. Each disciplined choice strengthens your will. Each day you follow through. The next day becomes easier. Momentum builds. Confidence grows. Your identity solidifies, and one day, without even realizing it, you've become the kind of person who doesn't quit. You've become the kind of person others admire, respect, and look up to. You've become unshakable. The contrast. Think of the masses again. They drift because their discipline is weak. They start, stop, restart. quit. They allow small setbacks to derail them. But winners, those with unshakable discipline, keep going. They're not faster, smarter, or lookier. They're simply consistent, and consistency beats talent every single time. That's why, in the long run, disciplined people always rise to the top. The ultimate freedom. Here's the paradox of discipline. Most people see it as restriction. They think discipline means less freedom. But in reality, discipline is the path to ultimate freedom. When you are disciplined, you are no longer a slave to your feelings. You are no longer controlled by distractions. You are no longer held hostage by excuses. Discipline sets you free. Free to achieve, free to grow, free to live on your own terms. That is the gift of unshakable discipline. The challenge. So here's your challenge. Stop living by how you feel. Start living by the standard you set. Decide today that your actions will not depend on your emotions. Decide that you will execute no matter what. Because once discipline becomes unshakable, nothing can stop you. Not fear, not doubt, not fatigue, not even failure. The disciplined rise, the disciplined win, the disciplined change their lives. Final word for this chapter. The world is full of people who had potential but lacked discipline. Dreams that died because someone couldn't stay consistent. Goals that faded because feelings got in the way. Don't let that be your story. Make discipline your standard. Make it your identity. Build it until it becomes unshakable. Because once you do, success is no longer a possibility. It is a certainty. That is the power of unshakable discipline. You now know the truth. The difference between a life of drifting mediocrity and a life of unstoppable progress comes down to one thing: control. Control of your time. Control of your energy. Control of your focus. This is the habit that separates the winners from the masses, the habit that builds momentum, creates discipline, and transforms your identity, the habit that will change your life faster than you ever imagined. But here's the final question: what will you do with it? Because knowledge without action is worthless. Motivation without discipline is empty. And time, your most valuable resource, is slipping away with every second you delay. So choose today. Choose right now. Decide that from this moment forward, you will no longer drift. You will no longer surrender to distractions. You will no longer waste the precious hours of your life on things that do not matter. Decide that you will live with focus, with discipline, with unshakable control. And when you do, you will rise. You will separate yourself from the 99% who wander. You will become the 1% who build, who create, who win. So here is your call to action. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. Begin today. Begin now. Take control of your time, your energy, your life, because your future is waiting. And the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the decision you make today. If this message spoke to you, if you're ready to stop drifting and start winning, then join us. Subscribe to this channel. Share this with someone who needs it. And let's build a community of people who refuse to waste another second. Your time is now. Your power is here. Your life is waiting. Take control and never look back.